Alrighty. Good morning, guys. Welcome back. Love from Japan. Man, I want to go to Japan. That's a goal of mine for sure. I had a friend that went to Japan, and he said it was the best trip he's ever been on. Definitely a little goal there, going to Japan. All right. Welcome back. Happy CPI day. How we doing? Good morning. That was Hans again, Margin. He's back. Good morning, Hans. So a good pullback, right? This is good. I know I need to get the gaming stream going. I know. We'll get it. Working on some stuff in the background, just trying to keep the content going, so we'll get it. Welcome back, everyone. A little pullback yesterday. But good, right? Where are we coming back to? A very key level this morning. So today should be interesting. You might get some interesting short ideas out there. But you're definitely at some key demand here after this pullback. You have CPI here in about, 30 minutes. So it's going to be an interesting day. That's for sure. It's going to be an interesting day, and hopefully some good opportunities. So we'll wait a few minutes for some of you guys to step in, chill out for 4 minutes, and then we'll get going. I don't do live trading on YouTube. No. Not everything I do is for free, my friends. It's like asking someone to do, it's like, hey, go to work for free, please. Please spend your day doing stuff for free. I please. It's not how the world works, guys. Okay? It's not how the world works. Just being honest. None of us do anything for free. Welcome back. Welcome back. Morning, guys. Alrighty. Wait a few more minutes. Wash my car for free, please. How many people we got? I can't, for some reason, YouTube like changed their format, and I can't see nothing anymore. There we go. There we go. All right. CPI ideas. Sit and watch. Sit and watch. It's not technically for free. It's free for you guys, and I do this here on the live stream. Cam, that's why you're here, right? You're here because you don't have to pay anything on YouTube to do this, to watch. I do this every morning. Is there AdSense that I make from this? Yes. Is there AdSense that Josh makes from his live stream? Yes. So is he doing it for free? No. If YouTube was not giving him AdSense, if I was not getting AdSense for doing this, no, I would not be doing it. So that's just the honest truth, guys. I know it's I know the online, the keyboard warrior argument is that oh my God, I can't believe you make money from doing this. It's so bad. No, Josh does it because he makes ads. Josh does it because he has the stream alerts. I do this because I'm here getting ads as well. I enjoy it. He enjoys it. It's all how it works, guys. It's how the world works. It's called capitalism. Okay? Unfortunately, people make money from doing work. Man. Man, is that such a sin. Can't believe it, right? Hey, it's all good. All right. Welcome back. Here we go. Here we go. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Let's get it started. So, today, CPI. CPI, right? Big stuff. Economic calendar. Let's pull that up. Let's pull that up and let's get going. So, here it is. CPI. 8:30. This is going to be your main event of the day. This is going to be, sort of our first thing to watch, right? We got to see how this comes out, and then we got to see how we sort of react off of it. Do we hold some key demands that I'm going to show you here on the market, or do we break under some of these major levels that we have on the market? This is going to be the first thing to watch. After we get this, we can reassess, right? We'll go through the futures here in the live stream. We'll go through, what to look for before CPI. We'll get the numbers, and then we'll reassess everything that's going on. So from now until 8:30, we're basically just going to talk through some of the moves that have been happening on the futures, on the overall market, some of the pullbacks we saw yesterday, and then we'll reassess everything after, all right? So CPI 8:30, big event. Going to be a big one. Tomorrow, nothing much really tomorrow. Thursday, core retail sales, Empire State Manufacturing Index, right? Employment claims, unemployment claims. So that's another big day there. And then under that, we have the PPI on Friday. PPI and consumer sentiment on Friday. And again, guys, remember the market is closed on Monday, so we do have a 3-day weekend. That is very important, right? 3-day weekend, that's nice. I very much enjoy that. So let's just be aware of that, right? If you hold anything over the weekend, know that the market is closed Monday. And yeah, that's that. So today, obviously, CPI, big event. Retail sales tomorrow. PPI on Friday. And that's just about it. That's just about it. All right? I'm sorry, retail sales on Thursday, not tomorrow. This is tomorrow. Tomorrow, really nothing. Thursday, retail sales. Today, CPI. All right. Boom. This morning, we had Shop and Datadog, I believe, report earnings. Let me go ahead and pull that up so we can look at those earnings reports that came out this morning. I think both of them doing okay. I think Shop down a little bit. Datadog, I think original reaction was down. Let me just go double check on that here. So here is today's earnings that came out already this morning. So you guys can see right here, Shopify, Datadog, Coca-Cola. Tonight, Airbnb, Upstart, Robinhood, Lyft, MGM. Tomorrow, got some there as well. Twilio after hours. What we talked about the other day, Yeti. I'm interested in seeing what Yeti does on that whole Stanley TikTok, sort of thing that's been going on. Wonder how Yeti gets affected there. That should be something to watch. DraftKings, Coinbase, Roku, Trade Desk, DoorDash. You guys have seen Coinbase move up a lot due to that crypto push, which is very big. Something to watch there. We'll take a look at Coinbase today. And yeah, so let's quickly just pop into Shopify. I think Shopify's down. Yeah, Shopify actually back under 83 this morning, which is pretty key, right? We had this 83 rejection area on Shop right here, and we are actually back under that and back under the 20 SMA. So Shopify probably going to sort of extend that downside if it stays under that 83. Datadog, Datadog pulled back to that key demand and held, it looks like. Let me get the 4-hour chart here. So this key area here, right around this 120, looks like it held this morning. So if we go to the 15, you can see, look at that, 120, holding pretty strong. So that's a key level there. And then Coca-Cola. Yeah, wow, Coca-Cola, pretty nice move for Coca-Cola. That's a pretty nice move for KO on an earnings report. KO doesn't really move much, but that's a pretty decent little pop there for KO. So that's about it. Let's jump into the futures. Here we go. So the pullback that we are seeing is very good. This is a very good pullback. This is a very healthy pullback, right? This is what we need to see. We need to see these types of downside moves to sort of reload at some key levels. So if there wasn't CPI today, right? If there was not CPI today, I would say that this is a fantastic longing spot today, right? Now, obviously, CPI could be the reason why it does turn into a great long, but it could also be the reason why we don't hold this level. So CPI throws a little monkey wrench in there, right? You just don't quite know. You don't have 100% confidence here. CPI could drop us through this demand, but this is a very nice level that we have pulled back to, and a very nice level that, sort of could hold here and create the next long opportunity, right? We have previous highs. We have all these previous highs. We have all of this area. This is our 17.8 to 17.770. Remember this level we had on our charts? Right? We are right back to that level. This was a very good pullback. This is where we held on Thursday of last week. This is where we held Wednesday of last week. This is where we previously rejected, previously rejected, previously rejected, previously rejected. All right, so this is a nice retest level that could result, right, in our next long opportunity. Now, obviously, that is all sort of depending on if we get a positive or negative reaction on CPI. If we get a positive reaction, if the market tries to maintain here, then I would definitely be looking for some long entries after this pullback back to some of these previous levels, all right? Definitely. That's a nice pullback to sort of give back some of this sort of just straight up movement. All right, guys, straight up movement, you always get a pullback. This is, again, another example of why the break and retest, if you just wait for the retests, right, you will find better entries. So if you've sort of felt like, the last few days was too much, well, you were right? You needed that pullback. You needed that sort of, that reload potential. And this is your reload potentially coming in. So let's watch this 17.8 today. Let's watch this 17.770. This is a big, big spot on the market. Big spot. If we break under this level today on CPI, if we break back under this low, back under this low, back under these highs, I believe you will start to see some short-term bearish action. I think this could be, right, breaking back under these highs, I believe could be something that sort of not kills the bullish momentum because it's still in a very strong, the larger term trend is still very up. Right, even if we go to the 4-hour, right, this is still a extremely strong. Look at this uptrend. I mean, this is an awesome uptrend, very strong. And so a downside move today is not going to crush the whole thesis, right? That's for sure. But I will say, right, if we look at this 4-hour chart, falling back under this sort of pivot, falling back under that high, I think could sort of put you on a little bit of a short-term downside action, right? Maybe for some deeper pullbacks. I think it's very possible. So let me go ahead and dive into that 1 hour chart again. If we break under last week's highs, if I can zoom into this, this is all last week's highs, right? If we break back under last week's highs, I could see some of that, bullish momentum being sucked out of the market in the short term. If we get back under here, you know where we might have to move to, right? It's that 20 SMA, right? We might need to come back down to that 20 SMA, right? That is possibly the deeper pullback that we need to see. This is the 20 SMA right here. So it's down there, right? We still have about 200 points until we get close to that 20 SMA. The last time we got back to the 20 SMA, look at the bounce, right? See what happened? The market, it's how the market works, okay? We got very extended over the 20, right? This is your 20 SMA right here. See this blue line that's sort of moving up on your charts? We got very extended over the 20. We eventually had to pull back to it. This is, you're extended over the 20. You might have to pull back to it, all right? So if you get under this 17,770, 17,800, which is the last week highs, if we fall back below that level today and we turn that into a rejection, I would possibly think that the NASDAQ needs to trade back towards that 550. 550, 580, that would be the deeper pullback level that I would look for, back to some of these lows. Honestly, even if you delete this, it could just be back to this channel low around that 480, right? This was our previous channel right there. This was the new channel that's trying to be built. All right, if we fall back into this channel, this is channel 1, right? Channel 1, channel 2. If we fall back into channel 1, which is right here, right, you might have to test channel lows again. So test channel lows and then maybe back up, right? So all is riding, in my opinion, on this area right here. This is the biggest thing of the day, right? This is the biggest watch of the day. It's all sort of riding on whether we break and hold, or we break above, or we hold above 770 to 800, or do we break back below it? That's the biggest key for me today. That's my main watch, all right? We'll see what happens, right? We'll see what happens. CPI is going to show us. That's going to be the main watch. It's not an EMA. It's a daily 20 SMA, guys. It's a daily 20 SMA. I've said this on the stream maybe 50,000 times. Daily 20 SMA. It's the 20 SMA on the daily chart. All right. Next, what's the key level here on the QQQ? 430, right? 430. This right here. You guys see this? See that 430? Previous highs, previous highs, previous highs, right? This is going to be the major level right there. Do we hold or do we break back below 430? This is a previous high, a previous high, a previous high. If we hold above this 430 on a pullback, this is still a very bullish break and retest for more upside. And this is still holding above a previous major high. If we break back below 430, that is where I think you could get extended downside towards that 20 SMA, right? That is where I think we could get extended downside towards that 20 SMA. So this is all for me. It's all about 430 on the Qs, right? QQQ 430. If we do pull back to that level, does it hold? Do the previous highs right here turn into new lows, right? Is that going to be a new long entry at our 430 level for a little break and retest long? Or do we flip back under 430? And if we do, I don't think it's very bullish in the short term if we break under 430 on the QQQ. Back under 430, you are back under some major highs here on the 1 hour chart, right? These are some major important highs. So back under 430, I think you trade back down to 425. And then you come back and test that 20 SMA. Okay? So for me, a lot of things are riding on 430 here on the market. This is where I'd either look for longs or look for shorts. This is where I want to make my decisions, right here. I want to make my decisions at 430. That's going to be the major spot for me. I want to either look for that new long entry here, or I want to look for that short entry underneath. That's going to be it for me on the QQQ. I know that is a very big inflection point in the market. I know this is a previous triple top high that if we break back below will sort of cause downside. And I will watch to see if that demand steps up strong. That's where I want to make my decisions today on the QQQ. All right? Big level there. 430. Let's go to the ES. So the ES, right? I think it could be that 5,000 level. I think it could be that 5,000 level. So here's the ES. Okay, we have the ES, and we have, let me just make this look pretty. Move this all over. As of right now, we are holding 5,020. You guys can see that, right? 5,020 is holding as of now. This is these previous highs that we are holding above as we speak. So this is going to be very important this morning. 5,020. Do we hold this on CPI or do we break below it? 5,020. If we break under 5,020, we are going to test 5,000, right? We're going to test that 5,000 level. If we break back under 5,000, okay, that is definitely a little bit of a, I would say, a little bit of a momentum killer in the short term, right? A break back under 5,000 on the ES probably brings you back down to that 49.80, right? Under 5,000, I would say 49.80 is the level to look for. That's these previous highs right here, 49.80, 49.80. Okay, so for me, 5,020, 5,000, and 49.80 are the three levels to be watching below. If we fail under 5,020, I think you will come back down to 5,000. If you fail under 5,000, I think you will come back down to 49.80. Those are my levels on the ES. That's how I'm going to be watching it today. If we just hold this 5,020, this pullback just created a fantastic opportunity back to the upside. All right, if we hold this 5,020 on CPI, right, if the market does like what it sees and you start to grind back higher, this is going to be your fantastic retest long, right? Retest of these previous double top highs, break and retest, and then see if this does maintain. But that is going to have to be something we answer after 8:30 today in about 10 minutes, okay? So 5,020, 5,000, 49.80. Big levels there. If we zoom out, let's go ahead and take a little bit of a larger look here. Actually, you know what? Let's go back to the hourly chart. Let's just get a little bit more time. So if we zoom out, I'm going to clean this up a little bit because some of these levels just aren't quite necessary now, just to get the bigger picture here. Under 49.80, right? And the other thing that we need to sort of remember, guys, where's the 20 SMA, right? Where's the 20 SMA? The 20 SMA is all the way down here at 49.35. So if we break under that 49.80, right, this is your next level to watch, right here at this 49.50. Okay, so there's some pretty clear levels to be watching. Ro, thank you, Ro. $10 donation. Appreciate you, Ro. Thank you for the support. Thank you, Ro. So you guys can see, right, previous highs, previous lows, 49.50, right, 49.80, 5,000, 5,020. Some very clear levels to be watching here. We're just going to have to reassess this after CPI is released. I believe that a break back under 5,000 will be somewhat of a, reactionary level. Some kind of a reactionary level, right? If we break back under 5,000, there will probably be some short-term reaction to that break, okay? Back to that 49.80. All right, let's move on. SPY. So the SPY, as of right now, let me go ahead and zoom in on the 15-minute. Here's the SPY, right? And as of right now, you are still doing a very nice hold of a previous high, right? As of right now. So you see right there, previous highs. That was your low on Friday of last week, and look at where you're sort of holding right now. So as of right now, this is nothing but a fantastic pullback for new longs if there wasn't CPI, right? If CPI wasn't being released today, I probably would have even looked to try to maybe long some ES futures here because this is a really nice retest area, 498.50, previous highs, lows from Friday, and you're trying to hold that level again. So let's see what happens on CPI. If the market likes CPI, then we might see that upside just straight off this retest level at 498.50, something to definitely watch. If we break under 498.50 today, I think you could see that 497, which is sort of where we held here on Thursday and Wednesday and Thursday, right? 497 is that next level. And then below that, I'm going to go to the third. Maybe I'll just get more time on the 15. Yeah, below that, you have this high at 496, and you have this little area at 494. So you have 496, which I believe 496 is equal to 5,000 on the ES. Let me just go ahead and drag these over real quick so we have a full picture. 1 second. Nope, we don't want that. All right. So this high right here, you guys can see right there from Friday, that's 490. That's 496. I believe that is 5,000 on the ES. Yes, it is. Okay. So 5,000 on the ES, that Friday high right here, is equal to 496 on the SPY right there. 496 on the SPY. Okay. So here's my levels to the downside. 498.50. These lows from Wednesday, Thursday, 497. If you break that, you're coming back down to this high right here at 496. If you break that right here, 494. So these are some of my downside levels to be watching today. Obviously, once again, we got to wait for CPI. I'm going to continue to say that because we don't quite know what's going to happen here in about 6 minutes. But overall, I like that we've seen some downside. I think this is necessary. The market cannot go straight up, right? These are potentially these opportunities that we want to see happen. So let's look to see 498.50 today. Okay? And let's just wait for CPI and we'll reassess this. IWM over 200. That's pretty good, right? IWM over 200. Let's see if it can hold above it today. That's really what you're looking for. Can the IWM turn 200 into support? What do you want to see on IWM right now? Right? What do you really want to see in IWM? You want this to pull back. You want this to come back down to 200. You want this to hold 200 nicely, and then you want it to create that next entry. That's really what you want on IWM. You do not want this to just sort of squeeze over 200. That's going to create that opportunity for a bigger downside move. You want this just to sort of slide back down to 200, have a nice slow downside, back to that previous high, back to some of these previous highs here, and then try to create that new long off that level. So look for that IWM to come back to 200. If it does, don't be afraid of that pullback, right? I'm going to create an alert there, actually. At or below, I'm going to go at or below 200.1, 210, 210 cents. If I get that pullback down to 200, I want to be alerted of it, right? Because if I get a 200 pullback, that could be a nice long on IWM. Something I'll definitely be watching. Dow Jones, Mike Jones, Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, man. I don't know what's going to happen with DJ next year. Anyways, here's the Dow. And you can see we're sort of getting stuck under this, 38.9 level. See this little 38.9 level on the Dow? We're getting a little bit stuck underneath that. You can see, right? We've tried to break it here. We tried to break it here. We tried to hold above it yesterday. We could not. So this 38.9 level looks to be the level to be careful of on the Dow Jones, guys. 38,900. You can see, look at all these rejections up here at 38,900. So be aware of that 38,900 on the Dow Jones. All right. Can the item be affected? Yeah, case, I believe so. Yes. I mean, typically it doesn't just move by itself. Obviously there's sometimes some small cap rotation. You definitely saw some small cap rotation yesterday. This is pretty much straight up. And the IWM sort of maintained all day yesterday while the ES and NQ have pulled back, right? It's going to be, and guys, here's another thing that I'd be paying attention to, right? And this is very, very, we've seen this very clearly. I don't think it takes a genius to know this, but just make sure on the intraday you are always watching NVIDIA. Always watch NVIDIA. Always watch the semiconductors. Always watch that sector. That sector, as you guys I'm sure know, has been very much moving this market. So if you start to see that sector strong again, right? If NVIDIA bounces aggressively today, then you're probably going to see the market maintain itself. If you see NVIDIA starting to lose it, if you're starting to see NVIDIA down 2-3%, starting to really break down, this is going to affect the market, right? So be very aware of what's going on with semiconductors. It's just the unfortunate truth that is really what's running the market as of right now. We've seen that. It's very obvious. The market went up yesterday with all semiconductors, right? Apple was down. Google was down. Microsoft was down. What else was down? There's a few other names, right? The big names. Tesla was down, right? Everything was down besides pretty much NVIDIA early morning. SMCI, AMD was up early morning, right? Qualcomm was up early morning. All the Bitcoin stocks were up early morning. You had, Coinbase. You had MicroStrategy. So yesterday was one of the strongest days I've seen in a long time that was fully driven by semiconductors and cryptocurrency stocks. It was very obvious yesterday. So we're going to have to be careful, right? You're starting to see some of this, right? Apple had nothing to do with the market. Google had nothing to do with the market. And if you start to get downside due to semiconductors, then those other names that have been weak are going to, sort of be even weaker. So a lot of rotation going on, a lot of strength from individual areas going on. It's not just a broad market upside, which is potentially a little bit concerning, right? Potentially a little bit concerning. So we'll have to see. This is what we're going to have to watch, right? This is our job, okay? Our job as a trader is to be in tune with everything that's going on in the market. We need to be in tune about all this, right? We need to be in tune about all this. All right? All right, so we got 40 seconds till CPI. If you guys could, press that like button real quick. We got 800 likes. Let's keep an eye on that. And let's take a look. This is really what I want to watch. Does the NASDAQ hold here? Or does the NASDAQ fail here? This is what I'm going to watch here. Let's see. Jack to the tits. I love that. That's from The Big Short. And 5 seconds. Okay, we broke it. Looks like we need more. We broke it. Where's the ES at? ES. Okay, ES is bouncing off 5,000. Okay, so ES 5,000. That's going to be big. ES 5,000. You can see it's trying to battle there right now. So that's your first watch now. 5,000 ES. NQ. Where's the Qs? Is the Qs at 430? Okay, Qs are at 430. Okay, so this is the big one right here. Qs 430. This is the big boy. This, if we stay under 430, then I like downside. If we stay under 430, I like downside. What's the numbers? Let's take a look. All right, CPI year over year came in at 3.1 versus a 2.9 forecast. So a little bit hotter than expected. 3.1 versus 2.9 forecast. So that's why you're getting a little bit of downside here. 3.1, 2.9 forecast. Actually funny how they went down on the forecast here, even though it went up, right? They got that's a pretty aggressive forecast right there, that 2.9. So 3.1 versus 2.9. It actually came down versus the previous reading, right? It was 3.4. It's now at 3.1. So it came down versus the previous reading, but they had a very aggressive forecast there at 2.9. Okay, so CPI a little bit hotter than expected. We are under 430. We are under 430. So this is very key. Under 430 is very key. Let's take a look. Okay, I think that you're going to need, honestly, I think you're going to need this. I think you're going to need this. All right. That looks right to me. 49.50. I think you're going to need to see these lows, right? This test here. 49.50. and maybe that 20 SMA as it catches up. That looks to be the proper pullback. Let's go ahead and jump into the SPY real quick. SPY, I would say the 492, right here. That looks like a proper pullback right in here. 492, right in that previous low, that major demand down there. I would say you have to be really paying attention to 430 today, okay? This is probably the easiest read of the day right here. This is likely where you can get the best edge, or at least where I see it the clearest today. I see it the clearest right here, under 430. If you stay under 430, then I would look for downside right there. That would be my main watch today. Let's look for a bounce into 430, and let's see if that turns into a rejection play. I would love that. That would make a lot of sense, right? Previous high, previous high, previous high. You flushed it. Let's look for that bounce. Let's look for that retest rejection. Let's look for rejections at 430, and then let's see if we can play this back down to around that 20 SMA 425. Okay? I think that's our watch there today. $430 on the QQQ. Keep an eye on that level today. NASDAQ, that's right here, right, guys? That's at 17,770, 17,8, right there. NASDAQ makes a lot of sense here today. Look for these bounces and retest rejections of these levels here. All right? Be careful that 20 SMA below on the NASDAQ. You do have some potential hold at that 560, okay? So you can see right here. Let me zoom in on this chart for you. Right here, right? You have this low, and this low, right? You have these double bottom lows on Monday and Tuesday of last week on the NASDAQ. That is pretty much right where that 20 SMA is, okay? So that's 17,560. This is likely where you could see some kind of a reaction intraday if you get downside, okay? So 560 right there on the NASDAQ futures, that's the 20 SMA. In the large picture, all right, before we move into some stocks, big picture analysis here. I think everything you're going to want to possibly see moves back to the 20, right? You've seen moves back to the 20, which get bought up. Let's look for those moves back to the 20 SMA. NASDAQ, that's 17,580. QQQ, that's down to the 425. SPY, that's down here on SPY. That's a little bit further on SPY, down to 489. So a little bit further on SPY if we do get that move. We'll have to see how that sort of sets up. And then on the ES, that's down towards this 49.40, 49.50. All right? All right, so let's look at some stocks. And then let's go back into those futures later on after we look at some stocks. Tesla, guys, what an awesome 196 rejection yesterday. 20 SMA, we talked about this all morning on the live stream. Congratulations to anyone that caught this trade. This was sexy, right? We had this upside grind into that 20 SMA, right into that major supply, and look at this yesterday. Absolutely perfection. Congratulations, anyone shorting Tesla yesterday off this 196. This was awesome. Well done. Way to take it. I know some of you guys in the chat took this. This was killer. This was killer. So I would say Tesla's going back to 180, right? Tesla's going back to 180, man. So I would do nothing until you see what happens at 180 here. This could be really ugly on Tesla, right? If that was just a fake dead cat bounce there, back into that supply, back into that 20 SMA, right? And this sort of breaks back under 180 now. That's going to get ugly. So 180, watch 180, big ass level down there. What an awesome rejection. What an awesome rejection. Congratulations on that one. NVIDIA. All right, this is big. This is big. Look at NVIDIA, 422, just got rejected there. Here we go. All right, look at this. 710. It's all about 710 today. If NVIDIA drops under 710, you are moving lower. Okay? 710, 710, and 710. This is where it held the 710, 712 level yesterday. This is a previous double top high. If NVIDIA drops under 710, I think you will see further downside. Okay? Under 710, you likely see 695. All right? That's the big watch on NVIDIA. 710 and 695. Do we hold 710 today, or do we fall back under it? That's the big watch. Okay? That's the big watch. AMD failed to break out, rejected this trend line. Took most of my profits on this swing trade yesterday, thank God. Once again, sticking to a system, sticking to a strategy, and scaling out of positions saves my ass, right? So this is why, and I talk about this all the time, this is why I scale out of positions when I get profits. You just don't know what the next day, sort of holds. And if you don't scale out of positions when you get profits, you have the risk of this exact thing happening, right? Which is AMD failing and dropping this morning. I took off 9 out of my 10 contracts yesterday, and now I'm down on 1, right? I'm obviously going to be red on 1 contract. But this is why I stick to that systematic strategy of scaling out of positions at all times. I don't care how good something looks. I've done it in the past where I don't scale out, and then this stuff happens, right? This stuff happens. So you just got to continue to stick to that idea of taking those profits as you get them. AMD, yeah, a very interesting trend break here, right? You see this? 4 hour. You had this wedge. Nice little breakdown, right? Nice little breakdown. So I would be watching this 165 level and then this 160 level. 160 and 165 to the downside, guys. Those are your next 2 levels, okay? So watch 165, which is right here, and then 160. Those are your next 2 levels on AMD. AMD sort of getting bought back up right there. 165, 160. All right? Let's continue. Let's go to Meta because I am very, 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 very interested in Meta downside. Here's why. This is Meta daily chart, okay? This is the Meta daily chart. We know there's a monster gap here, right? This is monstrosity gap. This is the gap in between my 2 front teeth right here. I don't have that big of a gap. But this is sort of interesting, right? This is sort of interesting. This daily chart has interested me just a little bit, right? You're sort of floating on an island up here on Meta. You see Meta, right? You're floating on an island. I need to delete these lines, man. My God, do I have a lot of lines. These lines just accumulate over time. I don't really delete lines until, it just sort of gets a little bit crazy. But, right, see this? You're on the island, right? This is gap up. Gap up from earnings. You're on the island. Look at this little 20 SMA rejection, right? Look at this little look at this little daily chart rejection, right? Sort of interesting. You see that daily chart candle? Not a pretty daily chart candle. So how does Meta respond to that day? That's going to be something I very closely watch here today. Let me go into the 15-minute and show you guys a little bit more detail here. If we look at Meta here, right, we've seen that it's been very difficult to hold over this 470, and we saw a nice rejection of that 480. So we saw that 480 rejection come in. We saw that 470 fail once again, and we're coming back down pretty aggressively here in the pre-market. I would say, right, if you break under this 453 area, all right, this could get sort of interesting down here. So I'm going to be eyeing this thing. I'm not going to just jump in mindlessly, but I'm going to be eyeing this 460, eyeing this 453, seeing if we start to break some of these levels. Meta's sort of been stuck up here, and that last daily chart is just a little bit interesting, right? Just to get a little bit of, keep my eyes on this thing, sort of hawk it a little bit. So, going to be watching that one, that's for sure. Let's go to some of these. Let's go to ARM real quick. Let's see what ARM's looking like this morning. So ARM, nothing really. I think ARM, I would want to look for a pullback to 124 here. This is where I'd want to look for longs right here. 124. We talked about that level yesterday, right? And this was an absolutely killer opportunity yesterday on ARM. If we go to the 2-minute chart, let's look at 124 yesterday. All right, look at this. Look at this little 124. That is just awesome stuff. 124, hold, consolidation, right? And a squeeze above. 124 longs was the play of the day, right? You had 124 right here. You had a break and hold, break and retest above 124, resulting in this insanity squeeze. So Where would I want to see ARM back down to catch another long opportunity? In my opinion, 124 again, guys. 124 again. I'd want us back here, come back down, retest this level, and see if we can sort of move back to the upside. 124 for me on ARM to play it safe is where I'd be looking. MRVL, still going to watch this trade, right? This is a very interesting daily chart setup, and I want to see if this plays out. So you guys can see right here, MRVL, we talked about this one yesterday. Very interesting area here around 66. Previous highs, turning into very clear lows here at 66. Let's see if that holds on. Microsoft, let's take a look at Microsoft. Microsoft sort of just failing this upside move. Microsoft's been sort of tired, it looks like. Let's go to the hourly. So I think the hourly, I would want to look for this on Microsoft. This looks to be the right level. It could be 407 here, right? It could be 407, 408. But to me, this looks to be the level you want to look for it. Right here. This 403, 402, I would want to see us back to these lows. These lows that have held so well. If we can come back to this low, start to hold that 20 SMA, that's where I might be looking for longs there at the Microsoft 403. That looks to be the right level. I don't really want to play Microsoft in between this channel, right? In between this channel right here, not that interested. I think I'd want to see us back here, 402, 403, come back to that 20, and then see if we can get some holds here. That's what I'll be watching, all right? All right. Let's go Amazon. Amazon, very weak attempt to hold that high. And this is another, oh man, Amazon's really coming down here. Okay. All right. Hold on here. Yeah. I would say there's a more likely scenario that Amazon fills an upside gap than Meta does. Okay. That's number one. I think Amazon is a weaker stock than Meta. That's definitely for sure. I think we are all aware of that. I think there is absolutely an opportunity that we drop and fill this gap on Amazon as well. So this is something to be watching as well. 167 looks like it's sort of like, I mean, it could be anywhere down to 167, right? Maybe 167.60, right? You have all these wick lows here, right? Wick lows. But look at this. All right, look at this. 167.60. You have that gap. Let's go to the daily chart. You have that major gap fill potential. If Amazon breaks under that low, I'd watch this. Your 20 SMA is pretty much back to the gap fill at 161. Okay. You have these lows here. I'd watch this today. This is an interesting one. 167.60, 168. We'll see if it holds on, right? Or we'll see if it breaks below. Something to watch today. KRE, yep, down. It's just, you got the same demand here. No different than what it's been doing. Demand 46. Shopify, yep, Shopify under 83. We talked about this one early morning. Shopify under 83 is bearish. Shopify under 83 is bearish, right? Shopify is probably going to come back down to 75 right here. 75. That's where I would say Shopify comes back down to. 75 right there. Under 83 is bearish. Coin. Okay, coin broke back under a key level there. That's a big boy level there. Let me get more time here. So you can see right here. Coin had these previous lows right here. See this? That it tried to hold above yesterday. It's back under it. So I would say if coin's under 144.50, 145, that you could see deeper downside. Coinbase right here. I would look for this gap fill on Coinbase. Remember this gap? It never filled it. I would look for this gap fill on Coinbase right here. 134. That's what I'd look for. Netflix. Yeah, Netflix is breaking the lows here. So Netflix has been very weak at this 570. Has not been able to break above 570. Under 555. I would say next is 550s. Is Netflix a gap fill potential? I don't know. We'll have to see. We're going to need some time to see if this is a horny bear syndrome or if we really do see downside continuation. I would say Netflix under 555, though, is something to be watching. All right, if Netflix stays under 555, I'd say that could stay weak. 555 Netflix, keep an eye on that. IWM, yeah, it's back. Oh, back under 200 big time. Okay, so yeah, that play's not there. All right, this is why we wait for CPI. IWM, look for a 200 rejection. Yeah, I think we're coming back down to this 49.50 on ES. I think we're going to probably see 492 on SPY. QQQ, I would say QQQ 425. NASDAQ. Yeah, NASDAQ right here. NASDAQ 17,560. Right? I think that's where you're coming. You're coming down to that 20. 17,560. That would be my target to downside. QQQ target would be right here at 425. SPY target would be right here at 492. ES target would be right here at 49.50. Those would be my downside targets. But you really want to bounce here, man. You really want to bounce, right? If you want to short today, you do not want this thing to just go straight down. You really want to bounce here, right? You want to bounce. You want to bounce back into the highs, the previous highs, and you want to see a nasty rejection right here. That's really what you want, but we'll have to see if we get it. All right. Yeah, Apple is just sort of shit, man. I've hated looking at Apple on the daily, on the intraday. It just has been a disaster to me to even look at. But yeah, you're coming down to 184.50 and the 100 SMA. That's big time right there, right? 184.50 and the 100 SMA on Apple. You can see, look how hard it was for Apple to get above that 50. We talked about that 50. All right, we said, hey, be careful of that 50 SMA above. This is why these daily SMAs are so important to watch, guys. They really do react to these daily SMAs. And you can see how hard it was for Apple to get above that daily 50 and daily 20. Very clear. So watch that 184.50, that 100 SMA right there. You break under that, you continue to the downside. All right, guys, so I hope you understand some of these targets on the futures. Really nice aggressive downside. You are under this is what I talked about. You are back under last week's highs. I believe this will cause some pressure to the downside. As long as you are under these last week's highs, as I said earlier, I think this could cause pressure to the downside. But what you really want to see, right, because as of right now, guys, the unfortunate truth is that the risk reward is sort of gone on the downside now. Because you have to be careful of this 20 SMA causing reaction to the upside, okay? As much as this sexy downside is looking good, right, you got to be a little bit careful of that 20 holding at that 17,560 today, right? You got to be a little bit careful of this 425 holding on the QQQ. There's a little bit of concern there, right? So I would want a bounce before the short today. I would require a bounce before the short. That's how I would play this. I would want a bounce back into 430. I would not long a single bounce today if we are under 430. Do not long bounces if you are under 430 on the QQQ. Please, right? Do not long into this triple top. There is absolutely no reason to long into 430 triple tops. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 rejections at 430. If you bounce into that level, that is most likely going to be your retest rejection short level, right? If you get back over 430, then things could change, right? If you get back above 430, then you sort of regain that level and you could continue higher. But you have to be back above and holding above 430. Do not long into 430 this morning. The only place I would consider longs is back at that 20 SMA at 425 at this point and back at that NASDAQ 17,560. Those are the only new level that I would look for longs unless we reclaim the previous highs, right? Unless we reclaim the previous highs. Then you could look for that flip. All right? NVIDIA, 710. All right, guys, press that like button for me. If you could, subscribe to the channel. You didn't even get an ad today. Now you're going to get it. All right, press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for being here. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.